Joining us now to share his thoughts is Representative Dan Bishop of North Carolina. Congressman Bishop, welcome to the National Desk.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's start with that return of masks in the House. What are your thoughts on masks making a comeback on the Hill?
Well, I think in the first instance, the CDC and the Biden administration have botched this. They've shown hysteria, some irrationality, arbitrariness, and unfortunately, Nancy Pelosi is always ready to pick that up. So she's reimposed a mask mandate on the Hill, but then she's really gone overboard with there was a memorandum from the Capitol Police that staffers might be arrested and charged with a crime if they didn't have a mask on in the hallways of the building. The masks are over with. They have a very modest salutary impact, and there is harm associated with the masking of everyone. People are fed up with it and they need to move on. If you have a vaccine, you're likelier to be killed with a lightning strike than COVID. And the notion that they can then, after having just in May said the mask would be over if the vaccinations occurred, they're now just reimposing them. It's just an authoritarian thing, and it's time to go.
Congressman, to clarify, isn't Speaker Pelosi, didn't she say she's just following the recommendation of the House physician, though, yeah?
Well, we had a meeting with the House physician, and how that came to pass is not entirely clear. He frankly did not at all acquit himself well trying to speak to the so-called doc caucus, the number of Republican doctors who were asking him questions. He said he was relying on the CDC, and ultimately they were relying on an unpublished study that had been rejected from peer review publication and did not know in detail the contents of that study. So yes, he made a recommendation ultimately, but the pressure, I think, has come from the speaker, and the way the thing's been communicated is all about the speaker.
So speaking of mandates, there are reports circulating now that some House Democrats may ask for a COVID vaccine requirement to be implemented. In fact, in a recent op-ed, two former staffers from Capitol Hill argued that the spike of the Delta variant, quote, should highlight not only the need for more Americans to get vaccinated, but for our leaders on Capitol Hill to step up and do the right thing for us and themselves. Congress needs to make vaccinations mandatory for anyone working in the Capitol complex. Congressman, what have you heard regarding vaccine mandates on the Hill?
Well, it's funny. Back in April, Speaker Pelosi, and we quoted this in a tweet the other day, Speaker Pelosi pointed out that we can't mandate vaccines upon people, particularly under circumstances where there's questions about it, the length of its efficacy and so forth. That's a choice for Americans to make. I firmly believe that. I think it would be, but as I just suggested about masks, there's a strong authoritarian streak in the left. And you hear more and more about it. They want to impose all sorts of mandates and requirements and penalties upon American people. I think what we need to do is keep the American people together, encourage vaccination as I have done, celebrate the fact that vaccines are here and have had such a dramatic impact, and people will do the right thing in their circumstances. I think that's the nature of America. We have let people make responsible choices on their own behalf.
Congressman, your Republican colleague on the other side of the Hill, Senator Marco Rubio, introduced a bill calling for the Government Accountability Office to review data that the CDC used to make these recommendations. Is there an issue with the CDC's messaging here, and what do you think that the CDC should be communicating to the American people at this time? Because, look, they're just saying this is what the numbers show us. We're following the science, as people like to say, and we're just trying to keep people safe.
Well, almost anyone can listen to some of the things the CDC is saying and detect fundamental contradictions. If the vaccine is as effective as it has been reported, it may be possible for someone with the vaccine to get the illness or to transmit the virus, but the numbers there must be very, very small. And the notion that you're going to then take all vaccinated people and require them to mask up, it shows that you must know that there's not a lot of benefit associated with that. The point is, CDC itself has become politicized and has damaged its own credibility with these irrational, arbitrary acts. That's what I think is the big mistake. And they've got to start building their credibility back. But masks are not the answer under circumstances where they're trying to tell the American people accurately that the vaccine is almost overwhelmingly effective and people should take it and rely on it.
Yeah, well, the debate rages on. We'll also continue to see what the Senate decides ultimately to do in that chamber as well. Congressman Dan Bishop, Republican from North Carolina, thanks so much for joining us this morning on the National Desk.
Thank you.